Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our art gallery. The reason for this background will become clear if you stay with us all day, so please reserve your seat, grab your coffees, and stay with us for as long as you can do. Today's all about platforms, but before we jump into what happens today, I'd like to invite up our day anchor from yesterday to talk us through what we learned yesterday. So Anju, I'd like to invite you to join us up here on stage to just give us your takeaways from yesterday's sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. I like the art gallery. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who were here yesterday, I'm sure you had a great time. Yesterday's theme was man-machine convergence, and we had some brilliant speakers. We started the day with Gerd Leonard, who told us what the future has in store for us, and then we got into some of the actual nitty-gritty discussions with examples on how we can use some of the machine intelligence in our world in financial services. So we had a gentleman from Palantir talk about using machine learning for financial crime compliance. We had somebody talk about using robo-advisory for wealth management and so on and so forth. And towards the end of the day, we had B.T. Wolf, who was talking about the convergence of technology and music. I hope most of you were there for the networking session and enjoyed her live music. It was really nice. And for me, there were a couple of key takeaways from yesterday, which sort of stayed with me. I think the first main one was that technology is evolving very fast. The world is changing, and it's in our interests to embrace the change, be part of it, be part of the movement, and make the most of it. And the other big takeaway was, which was from the session Bruce held on cybersecurity, which was be also very aware of the risks and the vulnerabilities that come with all this technology development, and be part of the movement to make sure that it's done in a this whole day change is done in an ethical and responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Anju. So what we've been doing all week, we've actually been streaming all of these sessions, and we are today straight out over YouTube. Over the next couple of weeks, you'll actually be able to go online and find out what these sessions are. Today, like I said, is that me? Today's all about platforms. When I started this week off, we talked about our first industry challenge that we ran in securities, and you met our winners from there. Today, we're going to talk about our second industry challenge that we ran in the space of compliance. And I'm delighted to say that we've been joined with our two winners and Bart from the business. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you gentlemen to pick up your microphones. And the first thing I'd like to do is get you to have a very few quick words to say who you are and why you're here. So Bart, first of all, maybe you can introduce yourself and explain why the industry challenge.
Good morning to all of you. So my name is Bart Claes, not Barclays, but it's Bart Claes. So I work at Swift. I'm part of the Financial Crime Compliance Division, and I'm actually in charge for one of the pillars, which is related to KYC compliance services. So for sure, you guys have all heard during this conference about the KYC Registry, which is our centralized hosted solution where we basically allow banks to share all of their correspondent banking and their institutional KYC information with the idea to share that with their correspondents as part of KYC onboarding and remediation purposes. So it's all about efficiency, it's all about effectiveness. Just if I may just give a little bit of context, like 10 years ago, we were not looking into financial crime compliance. Banks were dealing with that in isolation, trying to be as efficient and as effective as possible. But what we've seen is that with the increase of new regulations becoming more strict, the industry was realizing, well, it doesn't make sense anymore. It's not sustainable. In the context of KYC, the cost for doing KYC was becoming prohibitive. And so this is when the industry realized, well, we need to start collaborating. Compliance is not competitive. We need to do this together. And this is also the reason why the community turned to Swift as a cooperative to say, well, help us build and provide those solutions that will help us to increase transparency and the efficiency. So this is what we do in our jobs. Regulations are becoming more strict, they're evolving. So what it means for me and what it means for the Swift team is that we also need to evolve as well. I do that through my normal product development. I have my developers, I have very good product managers. I have a user group of 16 global banks who help us to kind of look into the future and define what the roadmap would look like. But what we said as well is that let's work together with Innotribe, and let's spend some time with clients, ourselves, people from Swift, but then also with startup companies, technology and innovative companies to kind of look how can we even break down further those silos and do more together.
Thank you very much. I think two words you've said there, collaboration and silos, are going to come back quite a lot today. So Alexon, maybe you could just stand up and talk about who you are, very quickly what you do, before we move on.
Good morning, everyone. Alexon Bell from Quantexa. Very happy to be here. So who is Quantexa? We have a platform to help financial institutions solve their most critical and pressing financial crime, AML, and compliance challenges. We achieve this through a combination of machine learning, advanced analytics, and network analytic techniques. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexon. And last but by no means least, Nick, maybe you could do the same.
Thanks. I'm Nick Armstrong, CEO and co-founder of Identity. Identity's created a token that allows the exchange of rich information about payments between banks to help improve processing, straight-through processing, reduce the risk of the transaction to enable you to do more business in different corridors, and also to reduce the risk, the processing costs related to that.
Cool. Thank you very much. Now, you guys were all there with us in London at this second industry challenge. Maybe I'll start with you, Bart. What was your key takeaway from the event? What would you like to share with the audience about the actual event itself?
I think what was nice from our side is that we kind of forced ourselves to take a step back, to move away from our day-to-day activities and to kind of say, okay, we do the things like we're used to be doing them. So, but by bringing clients together and then new companies who have fresh ideas, who bring in new technologies as well that we hadn't yet been thinking about, by having those conversations and kind of pairing up with clients and then the technology providers and then people from Swift, for us it was like kind of an eye-opening, because on the one hand side we got introduced to the new technologies to start with, and then on the back of that we started to think about, okay, if we now look into KYC, if we look into the marketplace that we would like to develop, what is there the use case and how can we apply that to that? And so the feedback that I got, I think for you guys, I will let you speak about that one, but the feedback that we received as well from clients is, I said, this is great because we get exposed to new ways of thinking, to new technologies, which is not only going to help Swift, but which eventually is also going to help us as financial institution, which is what it all comes down to. So it was this new collaborative and open mindset that we had that brought us to a lot of very good ideas. And I think it's very beneficial and powerful for the future.
Okay, thank you. Alexon, same to you. What key takeaway would you like to share from London?
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Swift and Innotribe for creating this forum. You know, it is truly amazing, especially for kind of startups to operate in it. I took a lot away from Innotribe, but I think maybe three things, just very quickly. It's a great information exchange. So, you know, the collaboration between members and Swift and fintechs working together. It's also about fintechs understanding the language of our customers, you know, and then articulating back how our solution potentially solves those things. Collaboration is amazing. The partnership that we create in those sessions, you know, allows us to focus on and simplify our offerings, but then align those to deliverable outcomes and the associated benefits. So the messaging becomes very clear. And then lastly, I think the takeaway for me is about a journey. You know, this is about us working together in collaboration from a seed and an idea, and then moving that through an exercise, and then potentially into proof of values to kind of demonstrate how we work it. So I think it's a really nice forum for everything to come together nicely.
Thank you very much. And lastly, Nick, maybe you'd like to share.
Thanks, Kevin. Two things. Information sharing is the future, and that's been a theme of the last few days as to how to solve these compliance challenges. And the second point is that how do we better leverage the utilities that are out there, like the KYC Registry, and enable the use of those across the whole industry?
Thank you. Now, you very briefly touched on, you went a little bit longer, I think we're going to coach you on your sort of Mad Lib. You very briefly touched, both of you, on what it is you do. So maybe to explain to this audience, to touch on your information sharing, so in chance you could just give us a quick summary of what it is Quantexa actually does at Exxon.
Thank you, Kevin. So, Quantexa, we're a group of subject matter experts, technologists, and data scientists, and we've come together to solve the most pressing challenges for financial institutions. We have over 100 years of combined experience in solving these problems, and the team pioneered the use of network analytics in the industry. We've been together, some of us, for about 10 to 12 years, and I think solutions that we have deployed over that time frame has helped to save the UK about $5 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars through fraud prevention, but also in system optimization and process improvements. What's kind of exciting for us is network analytics is becoming more mainstream. We're seeing that it is becoming core to most data-driven decision engines. Why is that? Is because we're able to create a single view of customers. And that has also meant that there has been some interest from the CDO departments within organizations, because single view is a critical piece of infrastructure for data lakes and big data strategies. So what is network analytics? Very simply, it is the ability to analyze things in context. So the majority of systems that we see around the place today focus on things in isolation: events, transactions, accounts, customers. But they don't analyze the relationships, the connections between those entities. And that's what a network analytics does. So very simply, if I go to the bank and ask for a loan and I'm an individual, that presents one risk. If I have 15 companies behind me, the bank might make a different decision based upon that network. If one of those companies was associated with a convicted money launderer or a fraudster, they might make a completely different decision. So when we've been talking about this in the industry, it has a very broad application. We've had conversations around correspondent banking, trade finance, global banking and markets, but also how you might respond to things such as Panama Papers or the Bahamas Papers leaks that came out on Friday. We've also had interesting conversations about KYC, which kind of brings me to what we did at Innotribe. So Innotribe, we focused on kind of how this technology can improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and consistency of the KYC process. Through our work with Innotribe, I think two things came to the forefront. One, network analytics is really good at uncovering previously hidden risk that an investigator couldn't identify through normal techniques. The second thing is that the other componentry within a solution would automate the collection of data and the analysis to the point of human decision making, and the analysts then make better decisions. The final part of this was kind of putting together a business case. So we very conservatively estimated that we could save 30% of costs, making things 30% more efficient. But we have done similar things in other areas like AML investigations, where we have 100 to 150% improvements in efficiency. So it's very exciting, and we can't wait to work with Swift on moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexon. And same to you, Nick. Maybe you could share this with people, what it is you actually do, identity.
Thanks. I'll just start by introducing a new term: know your transaction. So we think that you should have rich information about each and every single transaction. And we do this by creating a token that's a globally unique identifier to a transaction, just a string of letters and numbers. And what it allows is the exchange of rich information about who's involved in a transaction and what the transaction's for over existing infrastructure like Swift or ACH or RTGS. We want to do three things: re-risk, allow banks to start doing business in areas that they have closed down; improve straight-through processing, so to have a human or a machine be able to set rules that allow payment to go straight through; and reduce manual backlog, manual exception queues, manual investigation of people having to do duplicate checks at every step of the way. So what we're doing with Swift and through the Innotribe proof of concept is linking the KYC registry into the token so that that can go through a chain of nested banks, and each bank along the chain can see up and down and easily review the record. To do this, we use a private distributed ledger, which creates a single source of truth for this information.
Thank you very much. Now, just to sort of wrap this session up, I'm going to ask for one short final word from you, Bart. Anything you'd like to leave these people with?
A short word.
Thank you.
It's a great space to be in, but it's all about collaboration. It's this is a community, and we're all striving for the same. And there's so much more that we can do together. And by bringing banks, service providers, technology together, we can all make a real difference for the industry.
On that one, ladies and gentlemen, your second industry challenge winning teams, Identity and Quantexa, they're here for the rest of the day. If you want to find more about the proof of concepts, Bart is the man to speak to. If you want to find more about what these guys do, their teams are here. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, what I'd like to do now is invite our final speaker, who's been joining us at the table, to come up and share a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man who runs Sibos. This is Mr. Sibos. This is Christian Serafidis, the Chief Marketing Officer of Swift. Chief Marketing Officer of too much coffee of Swift. We've invited him to come in today to share a few key thoughts, and we call this section The View from the Top. Christian,
thank you. Thank
over
you.
to you.
My team runs Sibos, it's not me, and thanks to my team for that. So when you invited me to the introduction of the last date here at Innotribe, I thought I would share with you my view on what innovation means at Swift. And I do see three forces. The first one, I don't believe you'll be surprised, because this gentleman already alluded to a couple of times during the introduction. This is collaboration. Remember where we're coming from. We've been created over 14 years ago as a cooperative. And do you remember why we've been created? We've been created by all the banks to kill the telex. This is a good example of collaboration. And what I would like you to always have in mind is the role of Swift is to address common challenges in the cooperative space. We need to make a distinction between the competitive space and the collaborative space. And when the community is identifying a challenge that is bringing value in the collaborative space, that is the mission of Swift, to solve it with all the different actors of the community. Not only the financial institutions, the fintechs, and what you guys have just discussed about compliance is perfectly reflecting this approach. So collaboration is a key driving force of all of this. The second force I do see is definitely the experimentation. We do not want to do innovation for the sake of innovation. It must create a business value. So that means experimentation. And at Swift, or in the community, there are different ways to do experimentation. The first one is what we do at Swift in our labs. We have engineers around the world. But what I do particularly appreciate is the innovation with the fintech, the different banks, when we do co-creation together. What you guys, again, you have achieved with the industry challenge is another example. But I would like also to refer to what we have announced here at Sibos, the cyber security challenge. This is a common challenge that requires collaboration and also innovation. So I'm happy to share with you that one of the next industry challenges we are going to start will be about cybersecurity. Co-creation, working with all the different actors, and concrete experimentation. The last point I want to allude to, and it is not a coincidence that we have selected this theme, the key theme of the day, is the importance of platforms. So again, innovation is important if it creates a business value on platforms. You heard a little bit earlier about utilities or platform. And again, I would like to give you a concrete example of what that means. During this Sibos, we have introduced the new initiative called the GPI. Actually, we introduced it last year, but we have announced some innovation during this Sibos. Remember what we said last year. We said that the clients have an expectation for better speed, better transparency, better traceability. We work together, we've done co-creation, so collaboration, experimentation, and this year at Sibos, on top of the existing rails, we have brought innovation. I'm sure you have seen this at the lab. Lab is the place where we can showcase all this innovation. But this is not it. Going forward, I really do see the importance of continuing this pace of development with inviting all the fintechs and see what else we can do to improve this client experience in the correspondent banking. So these are examples of where I do see the role of innovation in the company. And for me, I really mean it, Innotribe is the custodian of what innovation means in the company. So I really count on Innotribe to continue, persevere, and be the vehicle of all these driving forces. Collaboration, experimentation, and value creation on the platforms. So that is what I wanted to share with you, Kevin.
Christian,
Back to you.
thank you very much. Mission accepted. Thank you. So, to jump in to what the rest of the day is about, I'm delighted to say we're joined by our day anchor, who's sitting at the back of the room, who's going to give you a quick overview of the today, and then we're going to jump in to the next session. So, Lida, over to you.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will try to move around to make those of you facing at strange angles feel more comfortable around your neck. Now, today is a day of synthesis, which will probably not surprise you if you've been with us for the last few days and seen the entire program build up, the tension between the outside and the inside, the traditional work we have been doing, and the work still ahead. We have a lot ahead of us, a packed schedule. I hope we will be able to see most of you for the remainder of the day. Those of you who have not managed to see everything you're interested in, later in the day we will have summaries of the key themes on cybersecurity and DLT. You can see behind me the schedule for the rest of the day, so I won't read it for you. I want to share 3 things with you, and we will be coming back to those during the rest of the day. One is that Innotribe is here for you, and although it surprises and delights us every year, it learns every day. So please give us feedback, please tweet about your experiences, please share on the voting panels, on our app, and with all the staff, your ideas, your thoughts, and your feedback.